What's up, everybody? This is Ryan Muncie, your host of the House of Strength podcast. And today we are talking with Rich Flynn. Rich is an amazing person, awesome guy. He is a captain of the New York City Fire Department, and he is the owner of Armament Training Systems, and they are also affiliated with Crossfit Massapequa. You're a co-owner of that, right?
Yes, Sam. Yes, Sam.
Rich, thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here, Ryan. It truly is.
So in the interest of full disclosure, Rich and I have actually recorded this once before. We had some audio difficulties, but we had a great time and covered a lot of awesome information. So Rich, I want to thank you for coming back and spending yet another hour with us to try to get this information to people. So we're going to go through this as if it was the first time, but I know there's some things that I want to get from Rich to all of you listeners. So Rich, let's, like I said in the beginning in the intro, you're a captain of the New York City Fire Department. I mean, dude, that's awesome.
It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool job.
How did that happen? Why firefighter? What started that?
I come from a family of civil service, like, police officers, firefighters. When you live up here, there's that's a path that a lot of people take. It's a steady job. It's a great job, good benefits. So it's kind of like one of those things that you always have in the background of, all right, a lot of people go to the city to work. Like a lot of my friends are Wall Street guys. A lot of my friends are contractors. They went into the trades, and the police fire way is another way because you're surrounded by it as you grow up. So it's always something that you grow up. You look up to these guys as you grow up. Hey, that so and so's a cop in the city, fireman in the city. So it was something that was always around, and it was something that always interested me. And I couldn't be luckier. I'm truly fortunate to do what I love on both ends.
That's awesome, man. I'm not in New York, but I can definitely say that I appreciate your service, and on behalf of everybody around you, thank you for what you do for us. And I know that the timing of your entrance into the fire department up there was kind of special. Will you kind of explain that to us?
I was hired in May of 2001. So my class went into the fire academy May 6th, 2001, and our first day in the firehouse was July 4th of 2001. We were doing what's called a rotation program, and you were doing 14 weeks in different parts of the city. So we had 98 people that were spread all over the city. So we weren't actually graduated yet from the fire academy when obviously September 11th, 2001 happened with the terror attacks and everything that happened in the city and in the country, Shanksville and DC as well. So, we were in kind of a unique time, 2 months into our career as firefighters, the worst terrorist attack in our country happens on our watch, so it was definitely a different time.
I mean, walk us through that day, if you will. I mean, I guess you said you hadn't yet completed all of your training, so I mean, were you just kind of thrown in and said, hey, you got to put your big boy pants on today, or were you kind of still wearing training wheels?
That's the amazing thing about my job. Like, now we're starting to roll in a lot of new guys again, and they're my responsibility when I'm with them.
As a captain now.
As a captain, as an officer, as a lieutenant and a captain, they're my responsibility. They're on the back with me. So with watching everything and trying to make the right move and, trying to read smoke and fire and construction and all that, I have to make sure that this guy is with me at all times. I need to know where he is, so he's with me. So that's the way it was kind of with me. My captain took me, and he's just, he was just one of those, all right, we're going, stay right next to me, whatever happens, we're here. We're staying together as a company kind of thing. So you look out for each other the whole time, everywhere you go. You can't see anything inside a fire, but we have radios, my big thing is I like to talk to my guys, kind of be that voice of reason. All right, we're just going to move in a little bit. It's not that bad, just keep moving in. We're okay. We're right here. We're together. I believe it helps the psyche of people when they hear someone else's voice and they know they're not alone in a bad situation.
Right. And I mean, as you're talking about that as a coach, I mean, you are a coach, and I'm a coach, and as a gym person who runs and leads a gym and a community of people in the fitness world, you know, you still do that as a captain of the fire department, but I mean, those are leadership qualities that are hard to come by, and they're traits that, you know, when you see them in a person, it makes you want to follow that person, regardless of, you know, what subject we're talking about or what arena, whether it's as a nutrition leader or coach or you know, gym owner or any kind of movement, or whether it's, you know, as a fire captain. I mean, how could somebody, you know, hear you talk like that, live in Massapequa, and not want to come be coached by you in the gym? Like, that's such a cool thing, and I'm sure that that's something that you guys incorporate into what you do at the gym.
Absolutely. Well, I'm fortunate with my partners as well. 3 of them are also firefighters. 3 of us are firefighters, and one of them is an airborne alumnus. So he's a veteran of 2 deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan as well. So it's just a little bit of a different feel when you come in, and the little things don't matter as much. You know what I mean? You don't get worked up about the little things like we spoke of last time. Like some things. The bigger deals are a big deal to everybody, but the little everyday things that might happen, you kind of like, it's really not the worst thing that could happen. You know what I mean?
That's such a cool thing to be able to have constantly have that perspective, and to be able to remind people of, the bigger picture. One of the first episodes that we did on the podcast was Travis Stetzel. I want to say it was episode 4, and he talked about how every morning he starts his day with a journal, and for 5 minutes or however long it is, he just writes what he's grateful for, and that just, it completely reshapes and transforms the way you look at things, and like you said, the little things just are insignificant.
It really is. You focus on the little things. You let the little things get to you. You don't have energy to fight the big battles that are really important.
Right.
You waste your energy on the things that are completely irrelevant to your happiness, your health, and your focus. Like you've seen it. You've seen it a million times with your nutrition. Oh, I didn't do this. I had a little piece of cake. Well, a little piece of cake is not the box. You know what I mean? Let's focus on little things. Let's make those little cheats.
Or people come up to me all the time, and they're like, well, what protein should I use? And, should I switch this one for that one? And, meanwhile, they're still eating, McDonald's 4 times a week, and drinking, nothing but sweet tea, and, they're not drinking any water. They're not sleeping at night. And, at the end of the day, those are the changes that are going to have the biggest impact. Once we get all those in place, then we worry about, hey, let's find the perfect protein powder or supplement or whatever. But you've got to have the chassis of the vehicle and the engine before you start putting rims on it and spoilers and
Absolutely. Like you said, we try to tell people, don't major in the minors. Don't major in the minors. Don't worry so much, like you said, about the small things. Let's focus on those things that are really going to have an impact. Let's cut that sugar out. That's the first step. Cut that sugar out. You don't need it. You know what I mean? Let's face it. That's that's step number 1. If you're not willing to make that step, maybe you're not ready for the bigger step, for the other steps along the way. That's my theory. Try to change those little behaviors as you progress.
Yeah. That's really good. I think so many people, and we've talked about this on several of our other episodes, but people get overwhelmed that, I'm at A and I want to get to Z, and they think that they have to jump from A to Z all at once, and that's not it. You look at, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to be. How do I get there? Let's break it down into short, manageable steps, and go from there.
Absolutely, and you see, like you've done nutritional challenges. We ran one. We're a month into one that I spoke to you about.
Yeah,
the results are absurd.
Let's talk about that, because when we spoke to kind of help figure out how to best run that, you had a really interesting angle. Tell everybody that's listening what you guys are doing differently from the average weight loss, transformation, nutrition challenge.
Well, we did it. My idea at the gym was, I'm tired of these 30-day nutritional challenges where all you do is deplete your energy, don't sleep, starve yourself, work yourself till you can't walk anymore. Yeah, did you lose weight? Absolutely. Is that a sustainable way of losing weight or living? No. So we wanted to do a little bit of a longer term challenge and a little more realistic for the way people can live. So all we did was, with your help, I eliminated certain foods. We eliminated the sugars, the dairies, the inflammatory foods, the starchy carbs, all the crap that people don't need. And we try to tell them, right? So 2,500 calories is a pound, right? That's pretty much 25, 35, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And, people want, well, a cheat day. I said, well, a cheat day, you don't think you could go out and eat 4,000 calories? So now, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, eat that piece of cake. Eat those 4 slices of pizza and have that sweet tea that you're talking about. Yeah. Now you're on that wheel, you're just running in place. Yeah. So what we wanted to do was give an easily sustainable, manageable program. So we said no scale. I don't want to measure anybody. I'm tired of everyone worrying about exactly what the weight, because you can talk yourself blue in the face about, okay, muscle weighs more than fat, you may put on some weight and this and that. They don't want to hear it. It just goes in one ear and out the other. So what we did was we just did measurements. We did the chest, hips, waist, and legs. And it's amazing. Like, we've had 3-inch, 4-inch losses in just the first month.
That's awesome.
And I said, do you see what we're talking about?
Yeah, and I mean, that translates to, a guy who was wearing 42-inch waist and pants is now wearing, by the end of this, he's wearing 38s and they're baggy, and he might be in 36s. And
exactly.
That's huge. That's such a dramatic transformation for your life, for your confidence, for the way you do everything. And like you said, those are changes that are sustainable. They're lifestyle changes. It's not these 30 days are done, so I'm going to go back to doing, what I used to do. And what did that do?
You want to teach people, it's the old fish thing, teach a man to fish, he eats for life, Just make wiser choices when it comes to foods. Have a healthy relationship with food. Don't say, I can't eat this, and be restricted. We just excluded certain things. I think it was 5 or 6 things that we just told them, don't eat this. We're going to program for you. We know you put in the work here. There's no doubt what you do when you come in these doors. It's what you do outside. So here, we're just going to give you a little guideline on what we'd rather you not do. It's your mission. It's your journey. I can't walk with you. I can take you to the supermarket and show you what to buy, but this is inevitably your journey. You're responsible for this. So we empowered them with the knowledge and just said, all right, just cut this out. Find other options. Because the thing that people start to get is, wow, I can eat a lot of food and still live healthy.
Yeah, that was funny, because we had Chef Dan on as one of our guests, and he talked about how one of his assistant chefs started to see what was happening for all their clients, and she began eating that way, and she said to him, I've never eaten so much food in my life. Mm-hmm. I'm full, I feel great, and she'd end up, I forget the numbers, so I don't even want to say, but she lost a significant amount of weight in a short amount of time, had these awesome results, and was eating more than she'd ever eaten, but it was all the right foods. And
exactly.
And I think that's where people get so hung up on calories, and it makes me want to pull my hair out, and I think that's similar to the concept that you guys are trying to impart to people with this challenge is, it's about the raw materials that you put into your body. It's what you put in is going to affect what you get out. And if you stop putting garbage in, and garbage being all those foods that we eliminated. So we did a Rip Dad's challenge a few weeks, it probably ended a week or two before you guys started this one, and that's how we kind of talked about some of that stuff with when you started setting it up. But we did the same thing. We eliminated dairy, soy, gluten, peanuts. There were a couple other things, and for a lot of the adult males, alcohol was a big one. And for 30 days, we had them either cut it out or severely limit it. And we had, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know for a fact that every single dad was over 35, and they all, in a 30-day period, lost between 8 and 20 pounds. We had one guy that was under 10 pounds weight loss, and everybody else lost over 10 pounds. They all lost between 2 and 5% body fat. They all lost significant inches at those same measurement sites that you guys did. It's crazy what happens when you take care of yourself in the way that you should.
And that's the best part about this whole thing is you're the guide. you get to see it and you get to implement it. And it's not even you telling them, it's other people saying, wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing? And it's, oh, I've just been working out and not eating this. You know, hopefully you have that domino effect on people in their lives, you know, and people see it's not that hard. If she can do it, I can.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see the movement that starts, where, like you said, all their friends see it, and maybe they don't even come into the gym, but it inspires them to make a change and do something different, and, you know, it betters their life somehow, and that's the cool thing, is that
absolutely,
like you said, you've started this domino effect that has a positive impact on your community.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And I know, I haven't mentioned this yet, but I'm wearing my ATS hat. This is the Armament Training Systems hat. So
what's better on you than me? We talked about this. Show me up again.
I'm wearing this to support you guys. You guys do some awesome things at the gym there, aside from this little transformation contest. I know you train a couple of professional lacrosse players, and we were talking recently before we started recording that you have a high school lacrosse team that recently won a state championship. So that's awesome. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we train. We don't train the whole team. We train some of the kids, some of the higher, you know, some just great kids from the school. And you know, winning a New York State lacrosse championship is probably like winning a football championship in Texas. It's that big. It's that big a deal. You know what I mean? It's that intense. You know. This is the epicenter of lacrosse, pretty much, this Long Island, Baltimore area, whatever it may be. But, yeah, these kids, man, you know, they come in and it's just amazing watching, you know, just watching what they did. Like, they didn't just win. They, like, the semifinal and the state championship, I think they outscored 40-something to 9 or 40-something to 11.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it wasn't even, and like I said, this is the equivalent of, you know, a Texas State football, the highest level, you know, Class A championship. These kids just were amazing. It was amazing to watch.
So are you training these guys in season, out of season? How does that work, and what kind of things are you doing for them to get them better prepared for their pursuits?
Well, with the high school kids, what we do more of is just pretty much a strength training and slight conditioning regimen. You know, they're not fully grown, they're still not fully developing. You know, they just need strength. So we do, you know, just a focused strength program, get them stronger, push some prowlers, you know, because their conditioning work is pretty much, they're playing high-level club lacrosse pretty much all year round in the summers. They're on the elite teams. So, you know, conditioning is going to take care of itself more likely than not through their sport, through their playing their camps and their tournaments every weekend all the way to August. So my thing is we just want to get them as strong as possible, try to teach them how to use that, you know, that strength, how to express that strength, and then let it take care of itself. Because you really, you know, you can't get them in a tight rein as a high school kid with high school coaches, club coaches, school, you know, work in the summer. So, you know, you do that if you can.
Yeah, that's a never-ending battle. We face the same thing here. It's, you know, like you said, they've got the high school sport, they've got the club or the travel sport, the summer programs, the off-season programs, the in-season, the actual games. And, you know, it's when you get them, you have to do what you can based on their current readiness and, you know, all that stuff. So, and I know, like we just mentioned, you got Nikki and some other guys in there as professional lacrosse players. How is what they do with you different from the high school guys?
Well, we spoke about this the last time. The difference with the MLL, the Professional Lacrosse League, is they are part-time, which is amazing. They don't have practices 5 days a week. You know, Nicky and Brian live on Long Island. You know,
and they have day jobs. You mentioned that last time. I thought that was fascinating. That was news to me. So I definitely wanted to get that, you know, back on this episode. So
everybody, you know. Brian's a school teacher. Nicky works in sales. You know, the whole league is, you know, a lot of Wall Street guys, whatever they do. And then
immediately as a coach, I mean, you just said all the high school guys. We know, we think about high school guys and how they have to practice. They're on the field. That kind of aerobic conditioning base is there for those guys, but for the professionals, maybe not so much.
Absolutely, no. So we're building them and we're working with them. We are their practice. So we are their conditioning. You know, it's pretty much SPP because obviously it's not the same, you know, we're out of the GPP phase because we do have them running. We have doing like similar stuff to their sport at this point. But
they do that. They get that programming from you, but they do that outside of coming to the facility with you.
Yes, I give them their aerobic program. I usually have them do some tempo runs. Either I'm like we spoke about last time. I'm a very big high-low, energy, CNS intensive, non-CNS intensive, high-low balance of the energy systems day.
I think that's such an awesome concept, and that's something that I stumbled onto that almost by accident when I first started lifting. That I always noticed that I would, the first couple of times where I started lifting heavy and having that high nervous system output, you'd wake up the next morning and you just feel like you got hit by a truck, and it's not even muscle soreness yet. It's just you feel like you're in quicksand, and I noticed right after a few times of that if I just got up and started doing some kind of light activity to get that blood flowing, that it would speed up recovery, and it actually helped me. And now we know from looking at science and studies and all the stuff that we've learned as coaches, that the better our aerobic capacity, the more resilient we are, the faster we recover, the better quality strength work we can do, which gets you better results faster. And that's what the high-low system basically is.
Absolutely, and it's balancing that CNS. I don't know, like you said, we spoke about the central nervous system. Like high-intensity stuff is your dynamic effort lifts, your max effort lifts, your sprints over 95%. That really, you're going after those high-threshold motor units on your lifts. You're trying to get every bit that you can, training at that high-intensity level. So you can train your body, like we said, we're training that, we spoke of that normal metabolic continuum. I don't know if you ever looked it up.
Yeah, no, I actually, I may have to get you to send me, if you had that image, send it to me, because I actually Googled it, and I was going to we're going to put this in the show notes for this, and after we recorded the last one, I tried to find that image to put it on the blog post in the show notes. I found one, but I don't think it's exactly what you're talking about. So if you've got that image, I may get you to send it to me.
No, I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's a Mike Robertson thing. Give credit where it's due. I mean, brilliant coach, a guy I follow. He's just a great balance of training and how to structure your training for your different athletes. So what we were speaking of was, a lot of people want to train in that mid-range, that 80 to 90% range, where that's fine if you're lifting, but if you're building strength or whatever, we spoke about that. I spoke to Louis. What did he say? Strength is built between 75 and 80% of your 1 rep max, and that's awesome.
That was something that you had, when we recorded this the first time, you had just been out to Westside and you spent some time with Louis, and that was some really, really cool stuff. So I think what you just said is gonna. Some people are going to sit back and say, "Whoa, wait a minute! What's the deal with that?" So explain that a little bit. What was his reasoning behind that, and how does that work?
Well, it's like you think about it. People say they're doing Westside, they're doing this program, they're doing an offshoot of it. Like these guys are elite. They're already at that strength building level. They're working on the best way to express that strength. So, they're doing a lot of different things, accommodating resistance that most people don't need to do. Most people can get by just fine on that linear progression model, not linear periodization where, you're just doing
right.
one aspect of training, so you don't give your strength, and then you don't give your power in a linear fashion. We're talking about, all right, so let's add a little bit more weight onto the bar every time in, reset, add more weight, start at that new spot until we can't get any gains out of it. So we don't want to constantly express strength in that 95 to 100% range, because you're not building strength, you're just showing what you already have. So you need to take that step back and build along the way, and then you can express it. Like people are so hung up on this 1 rep max. Let's worry about the 3 rep, 5 rep max. Let's get some reps in. Let's get that. Let's get that muscle stimulation. Let's build that strength, and then we'll worry about the expression of it. But in like when we're dealing with power, you don't want to train in that fatigue state. We want you to be explosive. We want that body to get used to that neurological system to get used to operating at that 100%. That 100%. I want to be explosive.
Of your neural drive, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, you want to train, so you don't want to train fatigue to do a lot of this stuff. You want the body, the CNS to remember, the neural system. Neurological, all right, this is how I do it. So you explode, you want to be explosive, you want clean, fast reps, you want to be powerful. And like we said, get that pattern in so your body remembers it when it's time to call upon it.
So that's really awesome, and I think there's two things that I'll say to that to kind of expand on it and to help people listening kind of grasp it is and wrap their head around it is that so many people go into the gym looking for a certain stimulus or a feeling, and they may look at what you're talking about there, where squatting or cleans or any weightlifting movement is a skill, and if we're trying to do like you said, then we need to be practicing it fresh as a skill and trying to create that neuromuscular coordination and memory. Not, hey, let me do this to get my heart rate up or to chase this certain, hormone, release, whether it's, the dopamine or the, those feel-good hormones from a workout. You will get those, yes, but that's not the pursuit. That's a positive benefit or side effect from doing that. And one of the ways that I'll always explain this is, if I told Tiger Woods that he could only hit 700 golf balls on the range in a week, why the hell would he go hit all 700 of them on Sunday or Monday? Mm-hmm. You would break that up, and the easiest way to look at it is 7 days, 100 balls a day for 7 days. Or, then you could maybe even break it up into 50 in the morning, 50 in the evening on some days. And some days you're working on, the long game. Some days you're working on wedges. Some days it's mid-range irons. And that's how we want to break up training.
You want every rep to count. You want to make the reps count. Especially when you said you're doing an explosive lift. If you're an Olympic lifter, we're training for power, like we said. You want that full out blast, that let's get this perfect rep, ingrain it in, take our rest, and then do it again. You don't want it's I'm a CrossFit owner, but sometimes I think there's an ingrained thing that's bad when you're constantly working in that fatigue state, and you're working too slow. You're working as fast as you can, but metabolically you're working too slow to get the true benefit of a power exercise where you're training to, like we said, get that 100% effort, that powerful. Because let's face it, 6 minutes into a workout, if you're doing the same exercise, it's not as fast as the first rep, or as clean as that first 10 seconds if you're working in an alactic state. We want to get that power. Let's build that power, and then we'll work on the power endurance.
So you mentioned that you're a CrossFit owner, and I know that you have a background and some knowledge that not every CrossFit owner or programmer has, or CrossFit athlete. How do you guys overcome that stereotype that maybe a new CrossFitter has when they come into the gym and they say, oh, well, I just want to go like a hummingbird, all day long? How do you communicate to them what we just talked about?
Well, the hard thing is people, YouTube is not the best thing to ever happen to training. Let's face it, because I just read an article today on Facebook, and it was from a reputable source, a reputable magazine, but they're saying, well, if you want to try this, try accommodating resistance with bands. Like, you're putting this out there to people that probably can't squat their body weight, and you're telling them to put bands on. So, like we spoke about the last time, I got this from Greg Cook at the FMS. Sometimes the best thing you can do is take things out of a program. You don't need advanced methods. Let's build. Let's work on the basics. Let's walk before we run. Let's run before we try to fly. You as a coach, it's the hardest thing to pull people back sometimes, but you're doing it for their own good, and it pays off in the end, in an amazing way when they do have that strength, and you see them starting to progress, and then that confidence is there. You don't need advanced methods as a beginner. So that's what I'm saying. Like YouTube, sometimes people go on, and there's a wealth of information. I got this. Information is not knowledge. Yeah, people are going to give you snippets and say, this is a great exercise, but you have no idea how to put that into a program, when you're ready for that. At what point in your programming should you be doing that exercise? You see it all the time. People go in and they're trying these ridiculous exercises that they have no business even knowing that exist at the point that they're out.
Especially if that's like you said, that information can almost be detrimental without the information of application and
Absolutely.
time and place and purpose, goal, all that stuff. Um, Another thing that comes to my mind when you're talking about that with YouTube and, people seeing that stuff, we have CrossFit games all over ESPN2 and, they're broadcast on the internet live. And, I think that's something that, and even like the NFL Combine, when people watch these things, they fail to realize that these events are tests at the culmination of those particular athletes' training phases. Same thing with the Olympics, or like the World Cup is getting ready to kick off. All of those things those are the tests at the end of the training. So they so let's use CrossFit games for example, and you see these guys doing reps of cleans, at whatever weight it may be. But I think what most people don't realize is that, they look at it and they're like, oh, well, that dude's cleaning 225 for 21 reps or 15 reps or whatever it may be. What they don't realize is that is a low enough percentage of that particular athlete's strength to where doing that weight for that many reps, sure, it doesn't really fall into the power training spectrum. But if that athlete were doing power training with cleans, he'd be using 315 or 365 or something
Absolutely.
that's significantly higher than that. That strength base is way up here, and he's operating in that metabolic zone with the weight that's here.
Yes.
And I think that's something that's lost on a lot of people.
Well, that's a CPS thing as well. Another Charlie Francis thing. You improve your maximal output, which in turn hopefully improves your operational output. So the higher your maximal output is, the higher potential for operational output that you have. And that's like exactly what you're saying. I looked at what Rich Froning's workout. They posted a week of his workouts. I got sick looking at it. 3 workouts a day, this ridiculous stuff. His output is so high that he's able to do that. Now, you put that out, that's almost like why I don't want stuff like that out there, because then you get guys doing CrossFit for 3 weeks, says, Rich Froning does it, this is how he got where he is.
And that's the other thing is, again, it's information without application. And, so somebody's going to see that and say, all right, well, if I want to be Rich Froning, that's what I need to do. Well, what they're not telling you is, hey, this athlete is, what is he, the 3-time defending champion, right? So if he's won it 3 years in a row, he's probably been doing it for at least 5 years. I guarantee you that when he first started in his first week, he was not doing, 15 workouts in a week. You start where you are and you progress, and it's that A to Z thing again.
Yep.
And you can never go A to Z and not expect breakdown or injuries or things like that. So
we live in that, I don't want to be that guy. We live in that society. We live in that society where everything is instant gratification. I laugh because there's actually drive-thrus for donut places now. If you're not willing to walk for a donut, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like, you just, everybody wants the end result now. Dial up internet wasn't fast enough. I'm old enough to remember that. You probably aren't. But now it's everything's Wi-Fi. Well, if your iPhone doesn't work and get you on a website within 4 seconds, Paul speaks of this like people are ready to throw their iPhone.
yeah.
Do you realize what's in your hand?
Yeah.
Do you realize the power of that? And you're going to complain about it because you can't get on your website in 3 seconds. It's amazing. Take time, progress, enjoy the ride. That's the fun of it. The beauty of it is making those gains and seeing yourself improve. And let's face it, Rich Froning was a great athlete before he started doing CrossFit. He didn't come in, and say, hey, I'm 400 pounds, let's do this, And now all of a sudden he's Rich Froning 3 years later, He came in, he's a pretty elite athlete as it is,
Yeah. And that was something, we talked about that kind of that max output and the operational output last time. Now I'm glad that we worked that in here because I think that's really valuable information. So again, just to reiterate, the higher that max output is, the higher your operational output can be. Because the bottom line is nobody can sustain 100% output all the time for any extended period of time. So and that's in the gym and outside the gym in life.
Absolutely.
And that's something that's it's a hard lesson for a lot of people to learn. I think we're all in some way, shape, or form in life dealing with having to, not push 100 miles an hour, 100% all the time.
It's the hardest thing. The hardest thing for a lot of us, is to know when it's time to pull back. But it's also the greatest lesson that you can learn in training when you say, hey, I'm not, auto-regulate, listen to your body sometimes. We talked about this, a program can change on the fly. I could have the most perfect written program. I can have a certain percentage written for you. All right, Ryan, I need you to get, 4 reps at 85, 87% today. And you're not feeling it.
Yeah.
But then what if I come in and I'm looking at you, you're sweating your own, but then you have that day where everything's falling and you're throwing weights around with ease. Man, do I really sometimes you have to think on the fly and say, hey, maybe I'm gonna let it go a little bit today.
Yeah, if you've got an athlete and they're feeling it and they're having a good day, those are the days to let them get after it. And then on the other days, it's hey, if they're not there, don't push them, don't drive them into the ground. Live to fight another day, and it's long term. We want you stronger and healthier, for your life. It's the same as the nutrition stuff that we spoke about in the beginning. You want sustainable and long term.
Exactly. And you got, like we were saying, you have to be able to react on the fly. You don't know what people do during the day. We're with them that 1 hour, whatever it may be. We don't know what they ate. We don't know how they slept. We don't know if they have a baby that's keeping them up at night. We don't know if they're dehydrated. Maybe they work outside all day. You have to be able to adapt your training to what the situation is when it walks in the door. You have to constantly assess. Like Vince says, you assess them when they get out of their car. When they're walking in the gym, if you're looking at them, you can see movement and you can see certain body body language that's telling you. Oof, and you look at people and you say this isn't a good day for them, and maybe you pull them back. You have to be that coach and be able to say. I've had people. I told you that. I made people take weeks off. I've looked at them and said, "You're overtrained, or you're on the point. You're on the verge of being overtrained. I don't want to see you for a week. If you come in here, get on the phone roll. You want to do a row. You want to run. You want to jump rope. That's fine. You're not touching a weight." And
when you said that the last time, I thought that was hilarious because that's a tough thing. Like, this person is paying for a membership and you're telling them, hey, your best interest for your health in the long term is to not be pushing it this week. And that's really cool that you're able to do that and help them in that way.
Well, hopefully, you build a relationship with people where they do see you, like you said, they do see you as that leader, hopefully, where you know what's best for them. And, we're constantly watching you, you make little improvements, you give them a cue. Next thing you know, they get that weight that they didn't get. They start to believe in you a little bit, and maybe this guy, does know a little bit of what he's talking about, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, we know you do.
That's a big thing, and I don't tell, it was hard. I've had to do it twice, and I had a conversation with another woman. She's in a fat, one of those Biggest Loser contests. She's not a big woman to begin with, and she's showing the signs. I see her face. She just looks like she's dehydrated. And I said, enough of this. When is this competition over? Because we need to start eating some real food again. I appreciate it. I applaud the effort. She lost, weight for her size, but I want you to be able to live. I don't want you to come in here and just get that last rep up and crawl out of this place. We're doing this for life. We're training for life.
Yeah.
None of us are going to CrossFit Games. We want you to live a better life. We spoke about the other day. I laughed, with our Fit Moms group. I had the most fun with them because, I say, listen, there's no 40, there's no 8-pound pink dumbbells in this gym. Your kids are 40, 50 pounds. Get over and we're going to start grabbing, we're going to start deadlifting, we're going to start, we're not, jumping around doing tricep kickbacks, we're going to lift some weights.
Yeah, and I thought that was such a cool, visual to communicate to that demographic. Like, hey, you can't train with pink dumbbells and expect to be able to pick up your kid, or like you said, it's, with the other lady, we don't. What good is it if you crawl out of here and you have no energy to go home and spend time with your family?
Absolutely. That's, and plus, like you said, right, yeah, great. But you have a dog at home, you have a dog at home, right? You go to the supermarket. How big is that bag of dog food that gets thrown into the cart? I'm not here to baby you. I'm here to get you stronger, to live life.
Yeah, one of our original members is a very petite lady, and she's, I mean, she weighs less than 100 pounds. She's very short. She's very small, and they have two greyhounds, and one of them will not jump in the car. And I'll never forget, like, the first time she told me that, like, she was strong enough to be able to pick the dog up and put it in the back of the car. Like, that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, life isn't, life isn't lived. Right, a gallon of milk is 8 pounds. That's the heaviest thing you lift, man. Get out and do something. But we lift things. Like I said, people have kids. They don't think twice about grabbing a 30-pound kid and throwing them up with their arms from the ground. So why won't you pick up that 35-pound barbell? Let's go. It's just you have to relate it to life sometimes. And then it registers. You see it click, and then now it's like, well, how much do you think I can do a little bit more? And now they get into it. So you're trying to teach people that it's okay to push yourself a little bit. You're not in that danger zone. I'm not going to let you get to the point where you can hurt yourself, but you have to live life. You're going to pick up your kids in awkward positions sometimes. Let's build that strength so we don't get hurt when that happens, and you're not laid up. So that's a big thing with me. I like to mess around with all my people like that.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I know we talked last time. It came up, I forget how, but you have that particular demographic in the gym at the same time as sometimes Nikki and the pro lacrosse guys. Like, how does that work, and how do they interact?
It really is cool because everybody, I love it. I love, as much as I love being a hardcore meathead and programming for an athlete. I also enjoy. I'm hooked on watching our moms groups, our everyday people improve and get stronger.
The growth that you just talked about, the person who was afraid to pick up a 30-pound sandbag and is now, lifting 100 pounds over their head.
Exactly. So what we have is it's a very unique interaction. Like I said, it's pretty motivating to have a professional athlete training at the same time as you. Obviously they're doing different programming a lot of the time. They're in season, they're getting adapted. They don't do the CrossFit stuff when they're there a lot.
So they're not sharing a squat bar.
No, exactly. But it's incredibly motivating to them to see how hard somebody works at their craft. Like I said, these guys are in there at awkward times. Both of them have kids. They're running in, they're trying to get their workout in. They're dedicated to this. Like Nicky's having. I watched him on TV. Nicky's 33 years old. Guy said he's running like a rookie. So he's having a great season. He's just abusing people because he's in great shape. He takes pride in his conditioning, in his strength, and it shows on the field with guys that are part-timers. But in the gym setting, people love it. They absolutely love seeing them. They love having them there because it is motivating. And like we said, it's motivating for Nikki and Brian. They come in there and they see, they notice what goes on. They see what other people are doing. They're like, I can't believe how strong she's getting, whatever. And they're very supportive. They're very interactive with our people. It's not like, all right, they're secluded over here doing their thing. Everyone's interacting the whole time. It's a great community thing. Is it ideal? Sometimes, probably not, but it works. And people, it really does build a great sense of community. And people watch it on TV and say, hey, I know that guy. You know what I mean? That's my friend Nicky. It's a pretty cool thing.
That is really cool. I mean, when you get the right people in that community, like you said, and it sounds like Nicky's a really great guy, and your other pro athletes are.
He broke his jaw. He's had a broken jaw for months. So he's wired shut. So he can't talk as much smack as he usually likes to. So everyone's making fun of him now. So
But I don't think that the general population, let's go with that term, I don't think that those moms or the dads realize how much they can motivate and inspire those professional athletes. And I think that's really cool for them to hear it. And I think it pushes them to keep going. And, we don't have a professional lacrosse player, but we've got, those groups that are a little bit more hard chargers that see what the moms, dads, whatever, or even our younger kids do, and it inspires everybody. And when you get that environment in the facility, whether you're, young, old, male, female, athlete, parent, whatever, you see everybody's progress and growth, and it snowballs, and it's really, really cool.
So it's amazing, but like something that I just want, someone's personal best, someone doing something they've never done before is as exciting for me as if it's a 600-pound deadlift or if it's a 135-pound deadlift. It's somebody in my under my program in my gym that's doing something they've never done before.
Yeah.
And you know the confidence that they get from doing that and the pride that you take. It's irrelevant who the person is to me. Like, yeah, it's great. I get great joy of watching our athletes play. I go to the games. I love watching them play. But I also love to see the everyday, the office worker that's we're right next to the Long Island Railroad. They sit on that train, an hour each way every day, commute, and then they get off that train and they come work with us, and they do something that they've never done before, and you see the excitement that they have. And everybody gets excited for them. And to me, that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Like, that's the part that I love. It's not about how much you can lift. It's about lifting more than you lifted the last time.
Yep.
That's the big thing to me.
Yep, that constant progress, better than yesterday, growth. Yep, that's well said, man. I couldn't agree more. That's awesome. All right, we're coming up on the end. So, Rich, where can people find you, get more of you?
So they can armamenttx.com is my personal training website. And like I told you last time, armamenttx@gmail.com or Rich@armamenttx if you want to talk to me personally. I love talking training. I do this all day. So if anyone has any questions, if watches it, wants to reach out to me, hell, man, I'll get on the phone. I don't care. I just love to, I love to talk about this and help people as much as I possibly can.
So just to clarify, that's Armament and then another TS. So
yes, armamentttrainingsystems.com, armamenttx@gmail. That's one of my personal websites, and then there's Rich@armamenttx.com as well. That's my direct.
We'll put all that in the show notes so people don't even have to remember it. They just click on the link and they can get more of you. You guys have a YouTube channel, right?
I'm working, like my social media skills, I'm the old guy.
Smoke signals?
Yeah, I'm the old guy. I'm getting better, but I will be offering a lot more content on YouTube. And like I said, anybody can contact me. Articles, blog posts, I'm going to be really diving into because like I said, I want, if I can offer information that can help somebody, even if it's down there in Roanoke, Virginia, and they're on their horse-drawn cart, getting to the gym, whatever it may be.
We're not Amish, man.
That's right.
That's up in Pennsylvania.
No, I love you guys.
Me too. No, so everybody that comes on has got to finish with, our 1-2 close. You get 2 pieces of information that you want to provide our listeners. One is on topic. So if everything that we talked about so far, what's the one thing that you want people to take away from this?
The training-wise, I want people to know the importance of recovery and balancing out and the synergistic relationship between nutrition. Pay attention to your body. Learn how it feels when you put bad things into it. Learn how the importance of recovery, hydration, and just how this, like I said, the synergistic relationship, have a healthy relationship with food. Let it fuel you, sustain you. And if you're going to train, just do it right. Train hard, but train smart. You know what I mean? Like going in there and trying to set a 1-rep PR every single day is a waste of your time, and it's going to get you hurt. There's a level where that's possible. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the journey. It's a journey. And, it's a non-stop journey to get better. You know this. I'm still progressing. I still see myself do some things. I'm like, that was really stupid. But a lot of times I'm like, wow, man, that felt really good. I did something that I haven't done before.
You said something in the middle of the podcast, and you said it again there that sparked something in my head. I read a lot of both Robert Greene and Stephen Pressfield, and I can't remember which one of these guys this came from, but it stems from that kind of Eastern philosophy of, the work itself is the reward. And that kind of goes right along with enjoying the journey and the process, and stop focusing on the outcome. And that's something that we talk to people about. Your goals should be based on your actions, things that you can control, not wishful outcomes.
Absolutely.
If you do those certain action items, the outcomes will happen.
Absolutely. And you see it. And the grind is the fun part to me. Like, set that goal. Listen, if you have a 450-pound deadlift, set a goal for 475 before you say, I'm going to get to 550. You know what I mean? Enjoy that journey and say, I'm going to get this. And make small incremental steps, but don't stop. Never stop. Just keep getting after it. Just keep going. Moving forward. I don't care if you have to crawl. Just keep moving forward.
That's awesome. All right, so the second part is it can be anything. Off topic. It can be related to this. It could be what we just said. The one thing that you want somebody to kind of listen to and put into action in their life to just live happier, stronger, healthier, kick more butt, whatever it may be.
I'm going to go with the same exact thing I said in the last one. What I think about you is irrelevant. What you think about them is irrelevant. Stop caring about what other people think about you. Stop worrying about it. Stop letting other people dictate how you live your life. And I use the example of, when I was a silly kid, I used to sit there and I'd see a person with the nose ring and the pink hair and say, what a freak, look at this dope. And now I kind of dig it. I kind of look at them and say, I kind of respect that. You don't care what I think. You're doing what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And people are going to judge.
You want to give them a high five and say, rock on.
What critics criticize, man. They don't build anything. Their sole purpose is to criticize. That's where critic comes from. People are always going to judge you, and they don't have a right to. Nobody cares. The sooner you get out of your brain that people outside of your and hey, it could be people inside your circle might doubt you. That's okay. Just worrying about it, what other people are going to think. Hey, you like a shirt, buy it, wear it. Worrying about other people's thoughts of you is going to drag you down more than anything. And like I said, I'm 41 years old. I wish I knew this when I was 21. I'm still not there, but I'm getting a lot better at it. And you know this from our group. To me, that's the biggest key. Who cares what other people think, man? Go be the best person that you can be the best version of yourself without worrying a damn bit about how other people judge you.
That's beautiful, man. I'm gonna take that clip and just play it on repeat every single day. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for kind of letting us in on your journey through that. And again, Rich, thanks for coming on the podcast today. This has been awesome. So for everybody listening, make sure that you check out Rich. We're gonna have his information on the show notes. The show notes will be on the blog, on our website, along with the video version of this, houseofstrengthgym.com. And that's it. Till next time, we'll see you soon.